LSU's gearing up for Saturday's game, the home opener in Tiger Stadium against Louisiana Tech. But if we're all being quite candid and honest, LSU's a 37.5-point favorite. No one is expecting this game to be very competitive. This is going to be a great opportunity, I would assume, for a lot of players that we got to watch all throughout fall camp, maybe to make their first real impactful moments of this season. Some guys who maybe didn't play on Saturday, didn't play a big role. Ashton Stamps comes to mind. Chris Hilton, who only had the one catch in the fumble. Feels like a really good opportunity. Harlem Berry to get out there and maybe get a lot more playing time and give some of your regulars a bit of a rest, a bit of a lighter workload before you play Florida next week. Well, this was also an opportunity to talk to some of the transfers who met with reporters on Wednesday night after practice. Mansoor Delane among them, and Josh Thompson as well. And I thought it was so interesting listening to both these guys when they were asked why they picked LSU. And admittedly, it's a little bit of an odd question to be asking, and a conversation to be having right in the middle of a game week. Why you picked LSU 6 months ago. But at the same time, when you don't have an opportunity to talk to these guys throughout spring or throughout fall camp, this is the first opportunity. And so some of these questions were asked, and it was interesting how similar Thompson and Mansoor Delane's answers paralleled each other. Like, this is what Josh Thompson said why he picked LSU.
I had a lot of conversation with Coach Davis and Coach Sloan on the way in, and a lot of the conversations were just surrounded about what the ultimate goal was for this season. And I looked at what they were doing in the offseason. It looked like they were building something really special here. And since I was a kid, it was my dream to win a national championship. And so that opportunity to chase a national championship is everything. And I talked to Nuss. Nuss was a big part of the recruitment process for me, and we became really close in that process, and it was a really exciting opportunity for me.
He said his lifelong goal, is to win a national championship. He didn't say, I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to make a bunch of money and get to the NFL. He said his goal is to win a national championship. Now, the money happened for all these guys. Don't misunderstand. But the point I've made and continue to make that LSU can offer as a differentiator is the opportunity to win a championship when all these guys come together and you supplement at the right spot. Yes, they're all making money. And the money matters. Of course it does. But it's two-pronged. Money and the chance to win. Mansoor Delane said effectively the same thing.
I think I seen it when I was in the portal. I'm seeing commitment after commitment. I'm like, oh, this looks like a good little spot for me. And then obviously knowing what was already coming back with Nussmeier and Perk and, kind of knowing these Witt and just these different pieces coming together, I'm like, it just makes no sense for me not to come here. So, and then when I got here, everything lived up to it. The mindset, it's a championship team, and I want to be part of it.
Mindset of a championship team. Mindset of a championship team. I love that from both these guys because it's interesting to me, maybe just from the perspective of someone who goes to a lot of press conferences and listens to a lot of media availability, hears a lot of coach speak, and when you start to see parallels, and so often what you see when there's alignment within an organization or a college program or something is when the players are parroting the coach. When the coach says something a certain way, and then you go into player interviews when the coaches aren't around and the players are saying the same thing and phrasing it the same way. And you hear a lot of those undertones with these players from what we hear Brian Kelly say. And that's a part of it, like building the championship culture and wanting to win a championship. The going 1-0 piece that everyone is sort of talking about. So I think maybe it just continues to validate this feeling about this transfer portal class because it's one thing to add talent. It's even greater to add talent at a position of need. Mansoor Delane's a great example of that, right? He's a talented player, but he's also a talented player at a position of need. Like LSU needed cornerback help. So you had A.J. Halsey. LSU was very bad at safety. You had a talented player at a position of need. But when you have a talented player at a position of need who's experienced and who's bought into win a championship, that's the part that I think ties all this together. On Monday, Brian Kelly gave a couple of examples when he was talking about a couple of defensive plays where, on the last play of the game where Harold Perkins got the pressure, it was Patrick Payton who ate up a block that allowed Perkins to become a free rusher. On P.J. Woodland's sack on the third play of the game, it was Jack Pyburn who crashed in and created that lane for Woodland. So you hear Brian Kelly say, play your 1/11th, right? Play your 1/11th, meaning do your job. Just the 1 out of the 11, do the one thing you're supposed to do on the play. And you hear a lot of these players in the press conferences talk about doing their 1/11th in these plays. And so I guess what it tells me is the message from the coaches are resonating. It's sinking in with these players. And it's a reason why when you've got talent and depth and experience and culture and buy-in, those are ingredients for something really special. Now, you got to stay healthy, and it's a long season. There's a lot of variables that'll happen along the way, and they haven't faced adversity yet. What happens when you lose a game? I mean, it feels inevitable at some point. Like, at some point, this team will probably lose a game. I mean, I think they just won the toughest game on their schedule, but there's plenty of landmines all over. So how do you handle adversity when it comes? Like, they handled adversity Saturday at Clemson, South Carolina. Over and over again, they answered the bell when they handled adversity. Not getting points at the end of the first half. The Berrien Brown, what we thought was a touchdown taken off the board. The fumble early in the game from Bauer Sharp, which led to LSU's defense came up with a great stop to hold them to 3. Like, they handled adversity great in the micro. What about in the macro? Maybe we'll find out. We'll certainly find out at some point this season. But love what you hear from these veteran guys and these transfers and why they're in Baton Rouge. All these guys, Mansoor, Delane, Josh Thompson, they're going to get their first opportunity. Some 40 players are going to get their first opportunity to suit up in Tiger Stadium on Saturday night. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.